Men not working. Someone suggested this. Where the men at? In my chat. Being cool. Alright. Why men are leaving the workforce? Because they don't get paid enough? Probably. I said, what? Because they wanna watch VTubers, that's why!
Men have been steadily dropping out of the workforce, especially men aged 25 to 54, who are often considered to be in their prime.
That's a big fucking drop though, like for real.
Working years. As of August 2024, 13.7% of prime age men were not working.
Is that in 2020 where that dip happened? Gee, I wonder why. Like, oh wow, really? No way.
Compared to just 7.2% in 1954.
The long-term decline in labor force participation by so-called prime-age men is a tremendous worry for our society, for our economy, and probably also for our political system.
There's a surplus of prime-age workers who could be working and aren't, and that's this puzzling problem.
The unemployment rate for prime-age working men sat at 3.4% in August 2024. This number primarily includes those who are unemployed and looking for a job. But about 10.5% of men in their prime working years, or roughly 6.8 million men nationwide, are neither working nor looking for employment.
I mean, it's going back up because people have to work, man. 401k is devalued because boomers sad. Yeah, this is a bit of a boomer sad that their 401ks are being devalued because the people aren't working as much. But like, look at the COVID drop. That's insane. If no work, how food? How internet? What do you mean? You just eat VTubers through your eyes, duh.
Compared to just 2.5% in 1954.
What's surprising is it's not a COVID phenomenon. It's not a recession
okay.
phenomenon.
And for every prime-age man who is unemployed and looking for a job, there are more than 3, and some years 4, who are neither working nor looking for work.
So what?
Because the people that look for work get discouraged because they apply to like 200 jobs and nobody wants to take them. This is what I've personally hated the most. Like, look, I both my parents are. I love my parents, but like sometimes I just got so sick of them telling me that, oh my gosh, Alana, just go like to the front of the store and like and ask them for a little job. I went at 18 and I literally couldn't find a job until I found someone that knew, like through nepotism, through like knowing people, that there was an opening. You can't just go in and hand in your recipe. No one fucking cares. Resume, not recipe, Jesus. It's just how it is, man. My parents told me the handshake lecture embarrassing. Yes, the handshake lecture is so irritating. I had something similar, but like, what the frick? Yeah, just a firm handshake, and like they'll hire you like a week later, and then after 14 applications. So what my parents did at one point, because I was just playing WoW after and like doing college, they wanted me to get a job while I was in college, and I literally told them like, okay. I will do this if you drive me and watch me put give them the CV and talk to them, and you can shut the hell up. After 14 applications and no answers for 3 months, they stopped driving me and they said, okay, fine. They just were like, all right, fine. Like, I'm not doing this where they bullshit me around and tell me that, like, oh yeah, you just threw it in there and just, like, faked giving an application. I wanted them to see it. Like, I wanted them to pretend to go into the store. They were watching me do it. And I talked to them, and I'd be like, yeah, you know, like, talk to them like how you normally do with, like, with you wanting to get a job. They finally gave up 14 applications, or maybe 16. I can't remember.
What's driving men out of the
Fuck
workforce?
that shit.
And if left unchecked, what impact will it have on the US economy? Nearly half of prime-age men out of the workforce cited obsolete skills, lack of education and training, poor work record, or security issues as a reason preventing them from work.
Or, even better, needing 3 years of experience for a fucking front desk job. Oh my gosh. Every job I've had that was like a 9 to 5 or a part-time, oh my gosh, man. I worked at a job that I got through my mom knowing one of the upper management because they just knew it. I had no experience in like working front desk, and then I started getting experience from that. They literally said that they picked me because my mom knew one of the upper management. I felt bad because I'm like, I'm not qualified, but like, okay, like I'll take it. Like, what else am I supposed to do? I felt bad. I did. Like on a conscious level, I was like, damn, this is kind of fucked. But then I realized that this is what happens because of like connections and like nepotism.
Education is a very important predictor of a prime age man's odds of being out of the labor force.
The big impacts are on the non-college educated groups on their ability to enter and stay in the labor market.
Men who are not college educated leave the workforce at higher rates than men who are. At the same time, fewer younger men have been enrolling in college over the past decade.
If you look at
Well, that also comes with the responsibility, with the connotation that's been. So I read a statistic on why men and boys, like males, do worse at school. It's because women are more compliant. They are easier to shepherd in a school environment. Men, boys, are more of a problem in like the general school setting, and it's harder for them to focus. Like that's an actual like statistic, and that's why they get discouraged and they don't want to enroll into higher education because they expect it to be the same thing. It's a big problem. Yeah, and college is also way too expensive, but like that's like the base fundamental reasoning.
the geography of where the most prime age men out of the labor force are in particular, they tend to be in places that have experienced manufacturing declines. They used to graduate with a high school education and have good, stable jobs. They weren't glamorous jobs. They were, automobile factories, sometimes mines, other manufacturing jobs, but they were respected, they were stable, and they could support a family. Since
Yeah, you could be a milkman and afford a little mortgage with 4 kids and a wife that doesn't work. Yeah, that's crazy. You wonder what happened.
Due to technology-driven growth, a little bit due to Chinese competition, you've had a lot of manufacturing.
That's another really good point. Like, there's barely any, like, made in the USA, like, factories anymore. That's very much a factor. And whose fault is that?
Firms and the places where they were located that were one-horse towns become ghost lands, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wages could also be a contributor.
Gary, Illinois or Indiana? Gary, Indiana? Yeah, Gary, Indiana. That was it. That's literally one of those cities that basically got destroyed. Yeah.
Factor. Median annual wages for men with a high school diploma have fallen from just over $57,600 in 1973 to $45,000 in 2023, adjusted for inflation. At the same time, wages for those with a bachelor's degree or more have increased by about $6,300 during the same period.
Well, yeah, but then you're in debt for like $200,000 or whatever, depending on your degree. This offsets like the wage increase or the annual income increase, man. So stupid. Such a dumb comparison.
This decline in earnings led to a 44% growth in the exit rate of men without a college degree from the workforce between 1980 and 2019.
I think, honestly, status plays more of a role than wages. As I said before, you had a manufacturing job, it was respected, you were part of a community, breadwinner.
there are no manufacturing jobs. You can't just go to like a town and get a job anymore. In 1954, where they said they had the highest employment rate for men, is when in 1954 they had Detroit and Gary, Indiana, or like other towns just like them all over America where you could just literally move to and have a fucking house that you lived in, that you could afford, and you had a community. This is so disingenuous. Yeah.
For your family, you had organizations like unions or Rotary clubs that surrounded your job, and that's gone.
In general, men without children are also less likely to participate in the workforce compared to men with children, especially men without education or training after high school.
What we have seen is a huge rise.
Again, I can explain this away because you have more of a will to keep going. Have you ever seen, like, I know this is like a bit of an over exaggeration, but like the men who have kids that they want to care for are more inclined to get a job than people who don't have a family. Like it's the provider instinct. That's why when you don't make enough money, you feel really bad because you want to provide for your family or your spouse. But if you're alone, obviously. Look at these fucking boom booms. They're like, oh, gosh darn it, that's why this is America. She's falling apart.
In the proportion of prime-age men who've never been married, and a very, very significant decline in the proportion who are currently married and have kids at home.
Yeah, that mac and cheese
And
looks
those
good.
two trends track closely with the big changes that we've seen about male.
That's another thing. The Silicon Valley boom that happened is also killing the cities that had it happen, because now that the Silicon Valley boom is over and we're declining, it's killing the city. And I think that it's going to be the next, like, Detroit. Yeah, they become unaffordable and it drives out people.
Attachment in the labor force.
Yeah.
Correlation isn't always causation, but looking at that correspondence is real important, I think.
Meanwhile, 57% of the roughly 10% of men not looking for work said their physical or mental health was the main reason for not being employed, with
Fair enough,
55%
yeah.
citing a disability, serious illness, and or receiving disability benefits.
The whole question about the health and the mental health of male workforce dropouts is an extremely important and I think concerning one. Distress.
Hold on. Is there a graph I can bring up? Yeah, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? This is an age one. Products, data briefs, test for runners. I can't find it. I wanted a graph explaining how men's offing themselves has increased over the last like 60 years. I just can't find it. It's really like telling, bro. I can't find it. Never mind then. But you get my point.
Proportion of the men who are out of the workforce say they're using pain medications every day.
A 2017 research paper estimates that an increase in opioid prescription between 1999 to 2015 led to about 43% of the decline in men's labor force participation rate during that period.
So then you have to ask, what sort of pain are we talking about? Are we talking about physical pain?
Both.
Are we talking about metaphysical pain?
Both.
There's an enormous amount of depression, mental health challenges that men in this grouping face. Some of this is a chicken.
Well, we just saw how Amazon workers get locked up and then a tornado blasts through it and kills them. Like, and Amazon, like, owns everything, and so does all these corpos. Just want to like use you like a dog. Yeah, of course they're upset. These companies don't fucking give a fuck about you, man.
An egg question. Did you drop out because you were feeling sad, or are you sad because you dropped out and you're living on the couch?
Unemployment is really terrible for people's well-being. Often people adapt to all kinds of negative shocks, losing a kid, being widowed, whatever, and eventually kind of come back. But long-term unemployment is one of the worst things in terms of that. So what you have is a kind of scarring effect, and it's worse for men because their identity is much more wrapped up in their role as a worker.
Almost correct. In being a provider. I think men, it literally boils down to caveman mentality that's been, we are like evolutionized. We used to be monkeys, man. You would provide bananas to your community, either your family or your mate. So why would you want to if you don't have that? Of course, the whole rent going up and like blah blah blah, that's like besides the point. I think people could push through that, but we are also really lonely as people. It's very obvious.
Men's declining workforce participation can potentially leave a lasting impact on the American economy.
It means slower growth of the economy, obviously. It means bigger wealth gaps within our society.
It certainly will have an impact on our productivity and probably already is.
The U.S. has been experiencing a severe shortage in labor, still missing 1.7 million Americans from the workforce compared to February 2020.
Right before the pandemic. Didn't the pandemic happen in March of 2020? Yeah, no shit. No, wow, really? Oh, you don't want to go back to work? Oh, that's crazy. Damn. Yeah, 2020 is not a good scale. Absolutely. It started in 2019, technically. I might be just like memory holing myself. I just can't remember specific dates. I would remember if I did, like if I had it up on the screen. It technically started in December 2019, but the lockdowns happened in 2020. Okay, I'm not misremembering. Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
The McKinsey Global...
Again, that whole saga was a blur for me because I lost my job and I basically sat at home and played WoW Classic. I'm not even joking. It sucked. I felt really sad, but at least I had some sort of like reprieve of happiness. Yeah.
Institute estimates that U.S. GDP could have been $296 to $442 billion higher in 2023 if the country had been able to fill its job vacancies. However, some experts suggest the impacts of men leaving or never entering the workforce could be more sector-specific.
You need young men coming in wanting to replace those people going out. And so if men have primarily been in more manual labor, more blue-skilled and skilled trades, if they're older and they're leaving into retirement and there's not as many young men coming in, both because of declining cohort sizes, but moving in a different direction type of careers, we're going to be losing that sector of productivity.
Despite a steep rise in federal funding, the infrastructure sector hasn't been able to find enough workers, with the construction workforce shortage surpassing 500,000 in 2024.
We are a little concerned about the impact that inflation is going to have and has had on the movement of infrastructure dollars into the actual productive activity. Having a shortage of men in construction is going to raise a problem.
The trend could have...
It's because all the girl bossing women don't want to go to construction. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't want to break my ass. And break my spine over this. I'm good. You big, strong, handsome, muscly men, you can go do that. I'm gonna stay at home and cook you dinner. Oh my gosh. Women yearn for the vines!
A dire socio-political impact as well.
It'll get worse in ways that we would not like.
Women.
I mean, I think it would lead to more premature deaths, but it will also likely lead to radicalization and polarization, because this is... What
do you mean? It's been literally more than 10 years of this shit. No way. Wow, really? No way. Boomers be booming today, chat.
Frustrated, left behind group with no options.
There are problems that government can address and problems that government can't address.
So one of the first functions that beats out policy is, economic growth. You have a strong economy, you're going to have increased wage structure, and it's going to bring people back into the market.
More than a quarter of prime-age men not looking for work cited insufficient pay as a reason preventing them from work.
Why? You're not paying people enough and you're increasing wages by 30 cents on average per year? Wow. And that's if you're unlucky enough to get a job that doesn't pay for increase in inflation and living costs? No way. Wow. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. I don't blame someone for being jobless. I really don't, man. Y'all, if you don't have a job and you just fucking gave up, I really don't blame you. I really don't.
And nearly half said competitive pay, salary, compensation, and/or bonuses was a very important factor when considering whether to enter or return to the workforce.
Oh, that's another thing. Bonuses in the form of gifts. Chat, I'm gonna tell you, the day that they gave me my Christmas bonus in the form of peanuts and chocolate, I actually almost lost it. I legit almost lost it. It was a wooden fucking box that gave me splinters. I'm not joking. And inside of it, it was olives, chocolates, and peanuts. They were expensive, from local, whatever, local shops, artisan. I'll say that. I will say that, but I felt like an elephant. Why are you giving me fucking peanuts? Why don't you give me $1 a raise for working my entire year? I'm sorry. It was loud. I'm just very passionate about this kind of thing. It's what drove me to, being, a VTuber, pretty much. I can't. You will drag me back kicking and screaming by my fucking hair along the fucking hot asphalt before you could take me back.
For the young.
Death.
Better training, skills training, some form of post-high school education. Encouraging that, maybe even subsidizing that. I think part of the youth mental health crisis has to do with what's next. What's AI going to do? What am I going to do? Are there any stable jobs? I can't afford college. All those questions all come together. And so models that help.
Well, yeah, lady, when you went to college, when you were 20, 21 or 22 or 18, college costed, I'm sorry, $20,000 maybe if you were going for a doctorate. Yeah, and now it costs an arm and a leg and then your firstborn child. Wow, it's almost it's kind of they do that on purpose to fuck you out of your money and make you an indentured slave for money. I have a lawyer friend that is $120,000 in debt and has to pay a ridiculous amount of money per month, even though he's a graduated lawyer. Yeah, that's so cool.
Help them, kind of give them a jump start, can be really effective ways of intervening. And there are actually now really promising programs in high schools which teach kids financial literacy. They teach them about equitable entrepreneurship. They teach them about how do you foster better mental health as part of the workplace. And it seems to inspire kids to go on to college, right? Because they
Why don't you teach them to go be an electrician or plumber or go to trade school instead of going to a fucking college, like a local college? Stop fucking pushing these people to go to fucking college and indebting themselves for between 60 to 80 to 80,000 plus $1,000 plus a year. God, these dinosaurs make me want to fucking gag.
Sort of see a pathway where they didn't see it before.
29% of men out of the labor force said that training and educational programs was another important factor in considering a return to the workforce.
Having the type of commitment from the employer to train and retain and offer upward mobility for workers, I think will be very important. Trying to figure out more about career pathways in the labor market and not just the education side. So how is it that someone moves from first job, next job to best job? How do we help people understand and navigate?
Nearly a quarter of working Americans said they weren't satisfied with their growth opportunities in the workplace.
Yeah, because now, instead of when it was happening in the 70s and 80s, it was a corporate ladder. Now you have to jump between jobs to gain the same thing, which is like arguably 100 million times more stressful.
Compared to other OECD countries that on average spend 0.1% of their GDP on training their workers.
Yeah, and we spend it all on... Man, I had to hold myself back there. Never mind. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
The US spent only 0.03% of their GDP on job.
I signed the TO... I signed a TOS. I signed a contract, but know that I know what to say.
Training in 2022.
Older age groups, it's tougher. You're probably not going to get these guys to retrain, but there are a lot of programs that have largely been pioneered in the UK, much more than here, but we're starting to pick up on them, that literally just try and reboot community activities. They get these isolated people in despair out of their houses. It can make a difference.
Social programs like disability benefits spark contentious debate.
It's very controversial. People have
communities. It's such a band-aid solution, man. It's such a band-aid solution.
Very strong opinions about this. While we don't know why it is happening, we can be pretty clear that the social welfare programs are helping, and the disability programs are helping to finance this situation in a way that was never originally intended.
A 2018 analysis by...
We spend so much of our money on military spending, man.
By the Joint Economic Committee found that 64% of prime age men...
Sorry, my headphones... Why do I sound different? Hello? Man, wait, hold on. My settings got fucked. Son of a bitch! Do I sound normal, chat? I sound normal, right? Okay, I don't know. I think a setting in my fucking headphones just fucked up. I'm just louder. Okay, I'm just checking. What I was trying to say is, we spend so much. What is our military GDP for America again? We spend more on military for our GDP than the next 3 countries combined. Yeah. It is absurd how much we spend.
Who aren't working or receiving some sort of government assistance.
So the one benefit that they rely heavily on is disability insurance. One, because they often are unable to work if they have a physical injury or high levels of addiction or whatever. But it also provides health insurance, which is huge.
Very much against the initial intentions of the founders of the program. They've ended up with a perverse situation that too often subsidizes or even incentivizes helplessness and long-term dependence. If we thought about a system in which we had a work-first principle where...
But it's so tough getting a disability. I remember there was a friend I had... I think it's her husband, again. She said that he worked in construction and he fucked up his back. And it was so hard to prove and get that insurance that he basically almost couldn't. And he kind of settled. And the same thing happened to a person that I knew that was in the military. And he said that the reason he started playing video games is because, like, it was so difficult to get military, proving military injury for those benefits as well. I know this isn't, like, about that, but it's kind of the same. Like, proving that kind of shit to insurance is extremely difficult. It's not as easy as they make it to. This video makes it seem like everybody's just like, yeah, insurance, disability. It's so easy, Lamau.
The incentives were for getting the training and then showing up at the job and then staying at the job. I think we'd be in a lot better place than we are today.
However, some experts remain doubtful about whether altering the benefits program will lead to meaningful results.
I think until we deal with the deeper problem of ill health, ill mental health, these guys aren't going to respond to incentives.
Everybody is responsible for their brothers. Everybody's responsible for their neighbors and their friends. And we ourselves as citizens can help to shine a spotlight on this. It shouldn't be America's invisible problem.
Well, like, America used to be a massive community. Like, the nuclear family was arguably one of the big reasons why factories had literal towns dedicated to, like, factories being a community. Yet, like, yeah, sure, like, no privacy, blah, blah, blah. But, like, in the end, I think that conformity does have its place in, like, in humanity as a whole. Yeah, small town USA with a little factory and everybody goes to their same job and, people work. Yeah.
And the more that we talk about it, the more that we pay attention to it, the closer we get to turning this around.
Yep.